Last time I was over, Jackie's like, "Did you see this roach clip? I've had this since I was 9."
That roach clip.
Why did you have a roach clip at 9?
That roach clip has been on the side of our ashtray and hasn't been used since she found it.
No one uses a roach clip. You throw the roach away and you roll another joint because you're 30.
Welcome back to Show Me Yours podcast with Jackie and Jonny. I'm Jackie Agnew.
Mi nombre es Jonny DeVito.
Consi comme ça.
Bueno.
There was 3 languages that happened there.
We're pretty good at knowing one phrase.
Oui, oui, señorita. I know a little German myself.
Absolutely. And Bok Dakala for all of our Middle Eastern followers. How are we doing?
I'm Tyler Boston. We are all white.
You're goddamn right. You're goddamn right. About Tyler Boston, and I mean that's maybe just a minor coincidence of us. Maybe being white. Do you think that's the reason that we get along? I hope not.
That we're white? Yeah. It's definitely part of it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. And we're off to a good start, ladies and gentlemen.
Quite confident in that. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Well, we got you here. Why don't you hit that subscribe, hit that like, leave a comment, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, share us on your stories, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your French tutor. Hey,
yeah, maybe they could teach you a little German.
Mademoiselle, I need to subscribe to the Show Me Yours podcast.
And hey, yeah.
And as always, if you want to see us live, don't come to King's Head for a couple weeks.
And as always, don't support King's Head Public House in Kitsilano.
Yeah, we will. We're going through some venue changes there, but Ty's got shows going on. What do you got going on?
Oh, well, we got this little thing happening. The Show Me Yours podcast is going on tour, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know when we should announce it, but I'm like, we've released all because we have a couple I don't know when the episodes are coming out, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing a little Western Canada tour.
Yeah.
So go and check out the website is don't call it a tour.
wixsite.com/showmeyours.
We'll put it out.
Have it all in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it all
We're
up.
going Victoria, Kelowna, Kamloops, Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah. We're super stoked. Go get tickets. Especially that we got a show in Kamloops that we really need to sell tickets for.
Yep.
And we also have a show in Edmonton that we really need to sell tickets for.
Yeah.
So if you're in those areas.
And the Grindstone. And they're going to be the kind of, they're the shows that you want to go to because they're going to be in theaters. It's going to be really cool.
I imagine
we
we'll
got some good headliners.
Some longer sets and stuff like that. We're going to have a lot of fun to really clown around on those ones, I think.
Yeah, I think
there's going to be like tons. We're going to do podcasts on the road. There'll be tons of content coming out.
So much content.
So we're going on August 14th.
Shove this content down your throat.
Down your and up your ass.
And up your ass.
August 14th to the 30th. Up your ass.
Up your ass.
That could be the name of the next tour. Up
your ass.
Oh, yeah. All up in your ass.
Yeah, we start off with kind of like subtle shade, and then it just gets less and less subtle.
Up your ass.
Up your ass.
Dude. Can we have the full penetration
Fuck
tour?
These other hoes.
Like if we get into the States, and it should be like, show me your full penetration, because like we're
penetrating
into
the border.
Yeah, sure. Right. It's kind of like a merge, like a friends, the friends merge.
Yeah. But we got a fun album as per usual today.
How we do.
But before we get to that, we have another hot breaking news from like 2 years ago.
Yeah. When you said it this morning, I'm just glad to talk about Bigfoot again, but this is not a news story. This is not a revelation.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting stuff that we could talk about here. So, Jax, break it down.
An oil field worker in Alberta has captured Bigfoot footage on his dash cam. So basically, this guy was working on the oil fields, and we have the video footage has been posted online, so you can review it for yourself. He was recording, turned his dash cam on for some other purpose, and then went to review the footage like a day or so later, and noticed a figure standing in the woods that was unmistakably a Sasquatch.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. You know what I mean? You can see a menacing figure, but I mean, I've worked in Alberta on oil rigs and stuff like that. If you're up there, you're not just going to find somebody, say, like in the tree line, or anybody that's kind of out there on their own. Depending on the time of season, it's extremely harsh weather conditions, whether we're talking in the heat of summer, excruciatingly hot, in the dead of winter. I've been in places so cold that you can only work for 10 minutes while there's guys 10 feet away from you in a warm-up shack, while your buddy has to come out, tap you on the shoulder, and then I go inside and warm up for 10 minutes while he does 10 minutes of work, and it takes a really long time to get anything done. Now, for this fella here, to see something standing in the distance like that, you're pretty sure that it's not going to be like some kind of like a human, you know what I mean? Some kind of simple mistake, right?
Right.
So it's definitely very exciting. But now, that being said, the Alberta oil field is not necessarily the prime location for Bigfoot running around. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely not the most dense wooded area, unless we're talking about like the northern BC kind of Fort St. John oil areas and stuff. So do we have an actual location?
Yes. So it's about 30 miles east of Banff in Nordegg, Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a geographical hotspot for Bigfoot sightings and encounters. As anyone who hasn't been to Banff, obviously it is you're right close to the border of BC. So it is definitely the more rugged rural part of Alberta.
Oh, absolutely. Dense forest and beautiful too. There is there's
stunning.
a hotel in Banff that looks like a castle that my buddy got married at.
Hotel Banff. Banff Hotel.
Oh, is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Check out the view from the courtyard
Chateau
there.
Banff.
Chateau. The whatchamacallit?
Jasper?
What's
it
the fucking?
Are you throwing
the Fairmont.
darts at the map, maybe?
The Fairmont Hotel.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, we'll be driving through there August 14th.
Yes,
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
That place is so nice. I feel like they're not gonna let me in again. You know what I me when you walk in there. It was one of those. You ever go to those weddings when you're like, how the fuck did they let us in here? You know?
My brother worked at my little brother worked at the Chateau Lake Louise. And because
Chateau Lake Louise?
When you work at like the different Fairmonts, you kind of get deals at like
the
all
rest
of them.
of them. Yeah,
cool.
And so when
that's
we
right.
went to visit him and his girlfriend when they were working there, we stayed in the Banff Hotel. And got like a really good deal on it. And stunning views. And same Chateau Lake Louise is fucking gorgeous. Oh my God. Yeah.
I was a bellboy at the Best Western in Vernon. And
Very similar.
Not
Banff
the epitome of like, let's say, high class accommodation.
Banff is an interesting location because it's very common for people to go there, for students or young people to go there in the summer to work. So my dad did it, my older brother did it, my younger brother did it. You basically go, and because it's such a big thing in Banff, the hotels there usually give you accommodations to stay at. So especially at Lake Louise, where my dad worked and my younger brother worked, very different times, but it's kind of the same thing. Not a lot has changed other than like, you know, the development and stuff. But there's kind of like a shitty like workers accommodations on the property. And then you go and you stay there for the summer and shit. It's interesting. Yeah, it's a cool thing to do. When my older brother went, he worked at the Fox Hotel downtown Banff, but he was like the night he was like the night auditor. So he didn't have like the regular like party like Banff experience because he was like working nights just like at the desk. Yeah.
I lost my hotel key and I had to bang on the door and I had to convince the guy shithouse drunk. So like his party experience would have been me trying to be like, I swear to God, I'm staying in here. Just let me get to my room. It was bad.
I think he had
I had to knock on the door.
Shit, But so about 30 miles east of this lovely location is Sasquatch Haven. And so I encourage everyone to review this dash cam footage. I don't know, did you guys watch it?
Of course. I think that, what we're dealing with here is like in a world of 2022, I think, and this has been going back since like the Patterson-Gimlin tapes of the early Squatch stuff, I think is that it's
the
always
one where he's got the watch on.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, he's a Rolex fan. I love all this stuff too because like, it sparks the imagination, but the quality of video is always going to be, either up to interpretation or it's usually so poor that that it's going to get discredited pretty easily. Not so much like UFO stuff. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot much better photo evidence of like unidentified aerial phenomenon than there is like Bigfoot for sure.
But it does beg the question: if the government was hiding all of these valid UFO sightings. And all this information about extraterrestrial life for so many years, what do they know about Bigfoot?
This is the question that nobody's asking that people have needed to for so long, right? Like, I wouldn't put it past our government to have some sort of like Sasquatch cover-up program, maybe in line with the American government because the Pacific Northwest is so dense. You know what I mean? We're dealing with free roaming Squatch all over the place, right? I wouldn't be surprised. This fucking goes to the top.
Oh yeah,
I guarantee 100%. It does.
That's a good one because I like that because it's like it's always all this other shit because it's like you don't hear a ton of government shit about Bigfoot.
Exactly.
It's always just the rule guy.
Posh.
Totally.
Yeah, piss posh, right?
100%.
You psycho, you crazies.
So easy to poo-poo.
Exactly.
All these aliens, all this shit totally falls just to get you away from thinking about Bigfoot.
Exactly.
And it's the same. We gotta release the alien shit so they don't get on the Bigfoot trail.
It's so easy, right? Like R. Kelly was gonna go to jail for years and years and years, right? But as soon as there wasn't anything in the news cycle that people could immediately just get finally like a break from, everything that's been going on, because it's been wild in the news for the past fucking, like, let's say a fucking decade for fuck's sakes, right? But even in the past few weeks or whatever, Roe versus Wade, you get one break from, what I mean, the North American population to stop looking at everything that's so crazy, and we're going to immediately go to Bigfoot.
Well,
right? We're going to start asking those questions. That's why R. Kelly has to go to jail. Next week it'll be something to keep us off the Bigfoot trail.
That happened right after the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial 100%. Ended, which was a whole fucking media circus that was undoubtedly like
a Bigfoot distraction.
A Bigfoot distraction.
Of course.
A BFD.
In fact, that poop in his bed.
Hey,
that's a Bigfoot shit if I've ever seen it.
That's a big dump.
Yeah, that's a big dump. Yeah.
Could you imagine that Amber Heard is sitting there like she's the only one, she knows it was Bigfoot, but he's just like, he does the Bill Murray, like Bigfoot does Bill Murray, like no one's ever gonna believe you.
Sasquatch stat. Yeah. But so this particular sighting, I would not classify it as a Class A sighting as opposed to our previous one, given that there's a lot of shrubbery and there's
who's the guy?
Higher chance.
You chimed in? Is that Buddy chimed in?
Jeff Moneymaker?
Moneymaker has not spoken out about this particular
we need to
sighting.
keep updated on this because I fucking hate that guy.
But
I'm surprised he's not trying to capitalize on this.
No shit.
So the kind
a lot of money to be made.
But
what it on the table, Jeff.
Does make it a little bit more credible is that this guy is a fucking an oil rig worker. Like he's not
more credible.
Like he doesn't seem like he's gonna start this fucking. It seems that he genuinely believes this.
I gotta disagree with you on that. I've been working up in those oil rigs. The people that you encounter aren't necessarily like your regular. There's a vast. The spectrum is very broad. Obviously, you have career men up there, family men up there, people that are just trying to work. You also have people that came right out of high school and went right into big money jobs very quickly, very undereducated. And I wouldn't put it past an oil field worker to stage a Sasquatch sighting You know what I mean? I got
especially being super paranoid on coke.
Dude, there's so many drugs up there. When I was working up there, the guy overdosed on heroin, and we were in a camp of 3,000 people, and they sent dogs through everybody's room. My room got flagged, obviously because I'm a pot smoker and stuff, but I didn't have anything on me at the time. And they just swabbed my keyboard. Oh, that was embarrassing, dude. They look at my keyboard, and they had this like swab, and they're like, okay, if this thing comes back like yellow once we swab your keyboard, then it's like positive for THC. And when they swabbed across my keys, because I like to fucking smoke joints and write dick jokes and shit, there's weed crumblies in between the keys of my board. So when he swabbed it, it came back red and had like green little pieces of weed on it. That was embarrassing. Can't really come back from that one. Yeah. So, but when I got kicked out,
what else did they find on the keyboard, Johnny? Well, the Q-tip got stuck in it.
Yeah, I mean, this was a Toshiba. This wasn't the good non-stick keys, actually. I think the space bar had been stuck down for quite some time.
Yeah.
But when I was
put
on
the black light over that, whatever you do, okay, officer?
When I was on the plane ride home, there was 23 of us. They had to get like a separate plane or whatever, of just people to send home or whatever. And we were all talking to each other because we got kicked out of camp, and then we were staying at the airport probably 3 or 4 hours before our plane took off. So we were all drinking in the bar, talking shit about how stupid the fucking drug laws are that got us all kicked out. And me and probably the majority of us were in there for weed, but I'd say there was a quarter of us there specifically just for coke. And then other shit was weird, like you're not allowed to have like anabolic steroids and like some other weird shit or whatever, right? The guys got kicked out. There was a dude that just had a drug flush kit in his room, just in case he did some shit and he had to take a piss test or whatever. But they found a drug flush kit and kicked him out.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Like so, it was really intense like that, and because they have to stay so intense like that because. The amount of partying and the amount of shit that goes on.
It's already such a dangerous place to be working.
It's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, it's just like it's
and
some
then
crab
you have
fishing
the guy
shit, right?
that's working next to you or above you, completely strung out.
Fuck up, fuck that, dude.
It's fucked up, right? So like, and I don't want to disparage the entire blue collar industry, one that I'm a part of proudly. But I mean, at the same time, I wouldn't put it past one of these boys to fuck around.
Okay, but like, so he went back after he reviewed the footage to investigate the where he believed this Sasquatch was spotted, and found some long hairs, and the snow was packed down where this figure was standing before. And if you look at the footage, it's easy to miss. But it's definitely a figure, like it doesn't look like a bear or anything like that. Like it's not immediately recognizable. And so I feel like if you were to stage something, it would be something like the fucking Patterson Gimlin film. Like you would want it to be kind of more clear because there's so many. Most of the footage that we have of Bigfoot sightings are so like grainy and like, could easily be mistaken for something else, which is definitely like the category that this footage falls into. Yeah. So I feel like if you're going to the trouble of setting up something, you kind of, might put in the effort to make it like a little bit more clear.
But then is there that other factor though of like, oh, I don't want to make it too clear.
There is that, but then it's like, well, then what's the purpose of this?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But
I think in the interest of like of today and in the internet, like I'm gonna play devil's advocate here because I want this to be true. But on the other side of it, like I've worked with this kid named Kenny Payne. Who shout out Kenny Payne?
That's fucking
he's awesome,
dope,
man. Yeah, Kenny's the fucking shit. Kenny was a younger apprentice than me, and he was the youngest person to get silicosis, the youngest case that they found, and they put him into a medical journal. So hopefully Kenny's off the tools, taking care of that kid. But he was drilling concrete with no masks on, like we all did for years and years and years and stuff. So like when he got sick, that was really, really troublesome for all of us. It was shitty. But he's the guy that you would send down into like a place to drill some fucking holes because he doesn't need a ladder. He's 6'6", the biggest son of a bitch that you've ever seen. And like an absolute workhorse. And I wouldn't put it past Kenny if I'm like, hey, I got a dash cam. I'm going to put this on. How about your big ass just walks through those bushes over there because it's the facial hair, you know what I mean, right? Like from a distance, could this be, you know what I mean? Just like fucking around, because when you are also up there too, and you're unsupervised and you're on some, like there's a wide array of work that you can be doing up there, especially in like the oil fields or whatever, right? It's not just necessarily like coming out of the ground like that. You could be you know what I mean, kind of way out miles and miles away from people doing like scoping or fracking and different things like that have smaller crews. That are a little bit more isolated. So like sometimes you could just like I've had to spend hours out in the bush just trying to kill time.
Well, that's pretty like if you watch the footage for the first like minute of it, he's alone, and you can hear the radio playing in his vehicle, and then you hear him come in and talk to someone on the radio, and then when he's driving away at this point. Yeah. Gets in his vehicle, starts driving away. And then like at first when I watched, I didn't see anything, but then it goes back and kind of shows you a zoomed in version, and the figure, it's not like someone walking or anything. It's just kind of like a figure standing like in the trees, which is why it's like very easily missed. But it does, I guess, resemble something that's standing upright. And then when he goes back and investigates it the day after he looked over the footage, so probably a couple days later, it's not there anymore. And then there is like the evidence he found, like the hairs and the snow being packed down and all of that shit.
They gonna scan that hair or what?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. We didn't, they didn't really expand on it. So that's why I'm thinking.
Just 23andMe.
See, like that's
regardless of this is.
If you're not bringing it to like, you know what I mean, proper research.
Well, that's what I'm saying is regardless
Jim took a picture of
the government's
hair.
You're gonna mail that in?
Yeah.
You're gonna use Canada Post?
Get this swept right under the rug, bud.
Yeah.
Not a fucking chance.
Yeah, you can't.
Pop a couple stamps on, a couple 60-cent stamps on there.
They're
pulling out.
You would need to bring it to a reliable Bigfoot researcher to, you know, do the proper DNA.
You might need that moneymaker.
Yeah, you might need to bring moneymaker into
I bet
this.
there's like a Canada Post employee that's just been like skimming, Bigfoot hair samples and stuff.
Yeah,
like
they're not worried about drugs being sent to the mail.
They don't give
a
fuck about drugs.
They're
trying to come. They have a fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark style fucking warehouse that they're hiding this shit in, and have been for years.
I'm in the fur department.
Yeah, and so. So my larger theory is that a story like this, even as someone who is an avid believer,
we're footers big time.
You have to look at a story like this with a skeptical eye. I watched the footage and I was like, but stories like this get into the news where you watch the video and you're like, okay, whatever. Whereas the bigger stories are covered up by the government, but they let these stories kind of go out into the ether. So to further support this whole notion that Bigfoot, the Bigfoot theory is bullshit.
Well, it's the same thing with like they're using it almost like to get a video like this out that's pretty easily discredited and stuff. It can kind of go into like the funny news category, similar to during COVID in Idaho last year. We were talking about that.
Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma, yeah. The Oklahoma Parks Board, we're still fucking pissed about.
Fuck these guys.
They're offering.
Fan of the old
Oakland. Oh no,
they were offering a.
Tulsa? Where are we talking?
They're selling just the state of Oklahoma. We're selling hunting tags for Bigfoot. They designated a Bigfoot hunting season.
Absolutely appalling behavior.
Yeah. Was it appalling? I mean, maybe it's a conservation sort of situation.
There's no conservation.
You son of a bitch! Encouraging people to hunt them. They were collecting money so people could get a Bigfoot hunting tag.
For a proper like deer population, you gotta kill a couple of them. That's how it works.
These aren't axis deer on an island in Hawaii that need to be killed with no natural predators. This is Bigfoot.
Look, just let us shoot a couple of them, and like maybe it'll jumpstart it. I'm pretty sure that's how the kingdom works.
Well, either way, basically,
is if you want to find the last two, kill them immediately.
So actually,
and then the population rebuilds itself. Look at rhinos; they're doing great.
So we were watching. We were watching the hidden.
There's some white horned rhino 3 in population that are being guarded by guys in Africa with fucking
we were
machine
watching.
Guns right now.
Sure, they're pianos, but they're doing great.
Those are gonna be there for a long time.
We were watching Hidden Life of Pets last night
Fantastic
on Netflix. It's very interesting, and they. There's 3 white rhinos left in Africa, and they have a fence around them. Yeah.
They fine.
They have a fence around them. They're with fucking the military is out guarding it, and they have this dog that that like picks up if anyone has been walking around. Yeah. It's very interesting.
That dog's awesome.
Yeah, it was right. Sweet. Yeah, it was the raddest
he picked up on like they found like footprints around it. So then the dog like went like searching off for these people that might be trying to scope out these rhinos.
Yeah, because these guys have been protected and there hasn't been one poached in Africa since 2016. We're trying to keep that streak moving.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But so this does that. So hunting Bigfoot and so you're what you're advocating for here opens up another question in my mind, is that what if to continue the parallel with the UFO cover up, what if there is a Bigfoot carcass out there somewhere that is in the possession of the government that has been kind of, that they do have information on it? What if they have
That's
something
the reason
like
for the
that?
cover up, right? It's the source, right? Now I'm thinking like, is that body, or was that Sasquatch carcass?
I presume that it's being preserved like Austin Powers style, you know?
Yeah.
He just gets up and pisses for 10 minutes.
I personally do believe that that is the case, and that they found that carcass in the UFO crash at Roswell, and that's why this whole thing has kind of been put together, right? But but compartmentalized.
Have you heard of Frank Lazar?
What if the UFO crashed?
Some crazier shit.
The UFO crashed into a Bigfoot home, and so there were two bodies that came out of that fateful.
Well, then that would be a reason that it would legitimize my Bigfoot alien theory there, basically being that, like, say there was maybe like a young kid trying to test drive spaceship, right? Accidentally crashed it into dad's house. You know what I mean? But was that in the desert? Then maybe they moved up to the Pacific Northwest where they could kind of maybe have a little bit more cover in a more densely populated forest area than maybe the desert that they were living in before. But either way, right? The thing is that they're creatures of the earth. And or fascinated with, and I think should be protected. And for an entire state, like Oklahoma, to have the fucking balls to say that within 30 days or whatever, say between this day and that day, that you can actually shoot these fucking things is ridiculous. And then for them to go tongue in cheek,
so funny that
basically
they have a season though.
It's just such a cash grab. It's such a cash grab.
What they did was basically it was a ploy to get people into the parks during COVID, which is it definitely get people outside when they were in lockdown and stuff like that. That's a fantastic message, but a terrible way to spread it. And me and Jackie were like,
if it does go towards like, because like a lot of those probes are like those tags have to do, because it is like as much as like some people might fuck with the hunting thing, but it's like is a conservation sort of like so if they're getting money for Sasquatch tags to go towards like
I'm fine with
like crazy deer diseases and shit like that, then that's fucking dope.
Hey, we watched Northwoods Law.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we have no problem with ethical hunters or fishermen. It's totally fine.
Ethical. Well, I mean, like if you're gonna hunt, obviously do it right. But I would want to know like where this money is going towards, all of that. You know, I want a deep dive on the Oklahoma.
If it's going towards like UFO studies,
I get to see like that. You
are
have
going
to follow
towards
the money,
UFO propaganda.
Yeah, you have to follow the money, right? And you have to follow the money maker.
Like that live golf, bro.
Fuck yeah.
But
follow that money.
Yeah, so I'm very interested on this new Bigfoot carcass theory that we are developing as we speak.
Fantastic.
This is a breaking news theory.
Oh, absolutely! It's all happening live right now.
It's all happening live right now. And I would wonder if they have alien carcass, if they have Bigfoot carcass, what else do they have?
What other carcasses?
What other carcasses do they got in there?
What are you thinking? Like
Aquaman?
Well, they definitely
no, you throw
have
that out. What are you gonna do? You don't want a live Aquaman. You want a dead one.
What are you gonna do with it?
Just stinking like fish.
Good morning,
Oh, someone left the Aquaman in the fridge.
They definitely have something like one of the sea, either an Ogopogo or a Loch Ness monster type thing. They gotta have one of those.
Cryptids here, definitely like a chupacabra or something.
Ogopogo. Hey, that's in Kelowna, right? Hey, the Show Me Yours podcast will be on tour in Kelowna.
We gotta do some sort of.
We're definitely gonna do a deep dive for Ogopogo.
We gotta do some sort of.
Do you remember that movie?
Themed. No.
The Ogopogo?
What?
No.
Oh, there's like a movie in like the 90s.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and it was like, I feel like it was like a kind of a lower budget, like kind of. It was right when like Free Willy and shit came out.
Sure.
No, it was like a legit film,
right?
But like I can't remember exactly. It was like when they get like it's kind of like up and coming actors, I think, like nothing like crazy.
Devin Sawa.
I only read Kevin Zegers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Ty Boissonneau.
Are you only bringing this up because you didn't get the part?
Because you were in the Ogo Pogo.
No.
It was just like Free Willy. You know, I kind of stood there and the Ogo Pogo jumped over me.
Free Willy kept hitting me in the hand and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, they could just get Tito Jackson and not Michael Jackson.
We're saving money.
No one
it's
likes
the 90s.
Tito. Yeah.
Slow down, Tito Day.
I love
Poor Tito. Poor Tito.
I love the image of an Ogopogo jumping like Free Willy does in that. Like, does his whole body like straighten out? It's like a big water snake.
Yeah.
Like going
No,
over.
kind of like waves.
Yeah.
Totally. It'd be like a dragon.
Oh, that'd be dope. The only reason I remember this is because I don't know what's happened. But it's like in the movie, there's like this kid who has like a wood carving of the Ogopogo, and it's like
it comes to life.
No, but it's like, I don't know, it's some like mystical shit happens or whatever like that. But somehow I ended up with that actual thing like from the movie. Like it was like some like one of my mom's friends was like at a set sale or something like that, and that's how I like know about this film like being fucking made.
Oh, so there is a connection there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then I'm also this is also why
Where is it now?
That statue?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Maybe in storage somewhere.
You didn't
There
keep
is a
track
statue
of your Ogopogo
I have
statue?
moved so many times that I just like I've gotten
Was it
literally down my
basically
life to a
have, like, a
suitcase and a
tailpiece?
guitar like 5 times in my life. So it's like I just don't have. a bunch
Oh
of
man,
old
you've
shit
seen
anymore.
our place. We are not.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I have.
I
Shit
I was like that
from-
before. I was
Yeah.
before I went to Panama for sure. But it's
Yeah.
like no, like since then it's like already I'm like how am I fucking? I've been back for a minute now, but I'm like I already have too much shit again. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
You ever
I
think
don't.
about, you ever think about Heat? Like I love that scene in Heat where Robert De Niro's talking to Val Kilmer and he's like, you know, the way you live this life is that you can't have anything in this life that you're not willing to drop in 5 seconds if the heat is around the corner. You know what I mean? And it's such a cool scene, but I'm like, I can't have that shit. No, I have all the shit.
Yeah.
The heat's around the corner.
Yeah. We just
But my circle jerk tickets.
Yeah, dude.
yeah. We just
2001.
when we
Son
went,
of a bitch.
when we went,
I was stabbed.
Did that hit home? Did that hit home, bro?
when
Too
we
close.
went to the fucking when we went to the island, I have so much shit at home that I still need to like go through. But when we went to the island, we came back with like fucking 7 baby blankets of mine.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, well, I can't throw them out.
It's so crazy. It's such a I find it's a very punk thing to do. To keep
just,
shit.
Yeah. I don't understand why.
Like every punk I
it
know, like their
becomes-
house is like it's decked out with
Yeah.
like just fucking show posters and just
Totally.
stuff.
I don't know
Yeah.
why.
And
but
it's always like it's just a lot of shit. Because
yeah,
like I
we
can't
have
hold on to all that.
I think
Too
a lot
much
of it
shit.
has to do with like nostalgia, like right. Like I think that
Totally,
even
yeah.
like a lot of the
I dig it. It's a very cool like memory. Like it's
yeah,
very
totally.
memory based.
But
and,
a lot of
But
the
it makes
a lot of the
moving
music that I
very
love.
difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does. It's a pain in the ass.
Johnny
But
unpacked
yeah.
like 5 boxes
because
of
I've done it
empty
so many times.
candle
I'm like I'm not
holders.
doing it again.
But it's like a lot of the music that I love or whatever is from a time that I wasn't even alive in, right? And I kind of like identify with those things. I think like if that's the like you know like those live like videos from like the Ramones or Bad Brains or something like that. When you see when you're like a 16-year-old, then like now at 32, I still feel like that's still a part of my life or whatever. So like any of that memorabilia or whatever that
Totally.
falls like in anything like that I can put on the wall, like it will spark joy. My mom was in my house yesterday and I showed her the picture of Spider-Man eating pussy.
Yeah. So good.
It's just
Yeah.
fantastic.
So good.
And she thought it was
Sparks
hilarious.
joy.
Yeah, because it does. But there is something, specifically I think with like that like subgenre of people or whatever that especially like bathroom show flyers or whatever. If I could, I mean, I've a week ago I took a few hours finding my favorite bands like show flyers or whatever and making a collage of them so that Jackie can make me a notebook for jokes and stuff out of just punk rock show flyers. So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And not even show flyers that I was at.
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh, the
definitely,
Dickies played with TSOL. That's cool.
Sick.
yeah. For some, I just like put so much, nostalgia and meaning into just like objects and like shit from the past, and then it's like becomes so difficult to throw anything away. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, where do you draw the line? Because when we moved in, I unpacked 40 fucking empty candle holders.
I don't draw the line.
There's shit like when the weed bag is empty, I'm not like, ooh, this was a good one, and save it in a box.
No,
there's a level of horror.
They're useful. They hold things.
I'm only laughing because last time I was over, Jackie's like, "Did you see this roach clip? I've had this since I was 9."
That roach clip.
Why did you have a roach clip at 9?
That roach clip has been on the side of our ashtray and hasn't been used since she found it.
No one uses a roach clip. You throw the roach away and you roll another joint because you're 30.
Pretty cool roach clip though, right? Has a little mushroom
It was
on
sick.
it.
It was super sick. That's cool.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
You're so hyped to show me too. Oh, it's so great.
Recently rediscovered it or something.
Yeah, you just got back and you're like, "Oh, I found this. It's fucking so sick."
Oh, that's awesome. Is ready for a pause and get a glass of water and my notebook? I just realized I don't have my notebook.
Yeah, we can throw a pause on
Did
it.
I fucking bring my notebook?
Yep. I think it's on the counter.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, let's pause.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah. Welcome to the soft, sultry sounds of Show Me Yours podcast.
Well, this seems like a good time to transition
We'll get
to the album.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So what did you bring in?
Johnny, what did you bring for us?
Well, guys, today I figured we would talk about a 1996 classic by an artist named Beck. And his album Odelay.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, very good record, man. Very good record. What do you guys think? We're going to start with you guys on this one.
Yeah, so Beck is such an interesting artist because all of his albums are such a departure from the last. And so the Beck that I was first introduced to and that I still tend to gravitate toward, other than obviously Loser.
Yeah.
But definitely his album Morning Light. Which is, that album compared to this album is like you wouldn't even know it's the same person.
Yeah. Oh no, sure. Okay.
But that, and that it's not an album that I listen to a lot, but like once in a while, and it's such like a beautiful album. But just his ability as an artist to do so many different things and be so good at so many different things. It's undeniable his talent. And yeah, this was a great album. It was really interesting listening to it as I'd never listened to this album before, and so just hearing this version of Beck.
Yeah.
It's
interesting. Ty, what do you think about the man?
First off, crazy that this is 96.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about 96, man. When this did come out, okay, so to square up the...
Pac's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Not dead yet, but about to be knocking on the door. Knocking on the devil's door. But there was a lot of good shit that was coming out. But interestingly enough, I think the rock and roll side maybe a little bit lighter because what was happening in hip hop in 1996 was fucking unbelievable.
Everywhere.
So right off the top, from all over the country, you have Outkast putting out AT-Aliens.
Oh, but
Jay-Z putting right there,
so
you can put it up. Jay-Z, his debut, Reasonable Doubt, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums to come out of New York. UGK coming out of Houston, fucking hitting riding dirty hard. Ghostface Killah put out Iron Man. The Roots, talk about Philadelphia. Philadelphia Half-Life came out that year. Redman's Muddy Waters, The Fugees, The Score. No Diggity was motherfucking number 1 on the charts. This was an unbelievable year for hip hop. Yeah. And on the rock and roll side, you have Weezer doing Pinkerton. Sublime's self-titled album came out. Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar, Rage Against the Machine. But they were doing Evil Empire at that time. Metallica did Load. So you have a lot of big bands, in my opinion, maybe not doing their best work. You know what I mean?
It's so hip hop. It's just and this Beck album is so fucking hip hop. He got together with the Dust Brothers over this, and so they were with the Beastie Boys and a whole bunch of other fucking people. They're such amazing hip hop producers.
Yeah, man.
And his whole album just screams it. Yeah. This is probably the Beck album I've listened to the most.
Me too.
I
don't know anything about Beck at all other than Loser definitely being a hit, obviously all throughout my childhood. The reason I like this album is because I was at Ebenezer's used CD store in Vernon. Shout out to every used CD store.
Hey, Vernon.
Yeah,
the Show Me Yours podcast is going to be there on.
We coming. So yeah,
TBD.
Yeah, and the. But basically, when I got this, because I think whatever the thing was, 5 CDs for X amount of dollars or whatever. So you find 4, and the 5th one, you're like, I'm just going to take a chance on something. And for whatever reason, Beck is not something that ever screamed out to me. The album cover isn't particularly cool. I don't know why I picked it out. or what about it kind of stood out to me. But listening to it, not knowing until doing the research to for this episode that the Dust Brothers were all over it, that it's so much. Viewers will remember the Dust Brothers from the Beastie Boys Check Your Head episode, and a lot of like similar production style you're going to see on this, especially even the same distorted vocals that you hear.
Yeah, that like magnaphone.
Yeah, on that Novocaine track has that exact kind
Yeah.
of thing, right? And so it was something that I didn't know that I was looking for or whatever. It was weird enough to, you know what I mean, to not be too weird. It kind of like fit in this weird kind of little niche or whatever of like a white boy that could take a little bit of like country vibes with some hip hop or something, you know what I mean? And not do it in like a way that was like super corny. Because this thing would have been right on the line of like my like young, if it isn't punk, kind of it sucks like discerning ear or whatever. So for whatever reason, it did kind of like punch through.
He fell into this weird like it just like it wasn't like you couldn't put him in anything, right? Because of the albums were so different.
Yeah.
But he was so popular. It wasn't like a Ween situation.
And are they
where you're
that?
Like, oh, you got to be like a fucking music nerd to know
Yeah.
Ween, kind of like it's like they don't have crazy hits. It's like
He seems pretty celebrated by the mainstream.
He's
here,
pretty
Beck,
mainstream.
You know?
but Beck is fucking huge.
Yeah,
It's like
he's
it's
huge.
wild.
Yeah, and it might be because, like with Ween, I feel like even on that album we did, the songs within it are so different.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's still like
He's a little more
cohesive
album based.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
this is a
so
little bit more
because
cohesive, for
each
sure.
album is so different, there's kind of something for everyone there.
Yeah.
I think that for somebody like the there's everything about this person that could be like considered hipster, or maybe like that it almost shouldn't work, right? Especially like the lyrics for Loser and stuff like that. The entire Ty, what do you think about the anti-folk scene? You know what I mean? Like the idea of like people calling themselves anti-folk and kind of like shitting on a genre that they're in turn making folk songs. You know what I mean? Like I think I don't necessarily know anything about it, but if it's like a maybe like a middle finger to the industry and people kind of doing their own thing, fair enough. But if you're coming out of that scene to massive stardom, then it's kind of like makes the
It's
initial
always
message
weird to
still
subscribe to anything that's anti. Like your whole fucking shtick is just to be like against
totally
something. It's just fucking weird. Like
Yeah.
it's just like just do you.
If it's
Just
not the
fucking
government,
do
then I
whatever
don't
fucking
think
is.
that,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. That was kind of a weird. That's a weird fucking scene. Beck was just so like he's so musically gifted
Yeah.
and talented, and then everyone in the band is always fucking crazy talented too. Like everyone like everybody who's always collab with and everything like that. He's always just fucking done his own like. I always put him in like the Moby category for some reason.
Okay.
I'm just like he was just I'm in a kind of similar-ish time, I suppose, where I'm just like, oh, this is like. Just weird. This is just different shit. This guy's just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. Doesn't really seem to be like he's making these fucking crazy hits, man.
Yeah.
There's a really good documentary. This is the only thing I really want to say about this was like there's a really good documentary. And I'm going to mention it like 1,000 times as long as you guys have me on this thing called Fuzz. It is just about fuzz pedals. The whole documentary
That's cool.
is just about different fuzz pedals that guitar players use. So like Billy Gibbons is in it from ZZ Top, but the guitar player from Beck, and I don't remember his fucking name, is in it. And he talks about his pedals and his whole pedal board. And I love Beck for that. There was always like these crazy sounds. Every album was just like, whoa, what is that? Like, that's so weird. Like, but he was able to incorporate all that shit. And his guitar player talked about like how important it was to have like the order of like what his pedals were into.
Okay.
And he'd be like, yeah, like I have like my reverb pedal and then something and then my fuzz pedal. He's like, but you got to think like, do I want like reverb on my fuzz or fuzz on my reverb? And then he'd be like, which is like fucking mind blowing. When you're like 14 or whatever like that, you're like, oh my God, you're just getting into all this shit. You're like, oh man. He said he would purposely switch up his order of pedals every like 6 months just to get different tones that he wouldn't necessarily get, like, you know what I mean, like if you just trying to plan it out.
Well, that's kind of cool about like about bands that have like experimental musicians and stuff like that, because a lot of my favorite bands, I'm meat and potatoes. I know exactly what I like and I know what I'm going to get from those things. So the idea of me going to see like Bad Religion and then being like, okay, so we're going to do Suffer, but we're going to do it a little differently this time. You know what I mean? Might be like a little bit, not as welcomed or something like that, as something, you know, where you get these guys that are going to be playing these same songs and they're going to keep fucking around with it and keep kind of experimenting or whatever, like a Jack White situation where you can go see the same rock and roll show 100 times or whatever, and he's never going to play the same thing twice, right? Or the play it the same way
twice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
which I think is really fucking really impressive, but also like I don't have the mind for that, so it's one of those things that like I can remark at. Just as like a fan of art, but be like, God damn, that conversation would be insufferable to have, because like the Edge, when the Edge from fucking U2 is on.
I love it. You see, it's insufferable. It's like the Edge is immediately mentioned.
Exactly.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah. Well, because on that It Might Get Loud documentary is so cool, because you have Jack White making a fucking guitar out of like a guitar string and a two nails and a fucking Coke bottle or whatever, right? Making a slide guitar in the first thing, and then you have Jimmy Page's kind of philosophy and his approach to it, and then you have the Edge, who's just going to talk for an hour about like, they might as well talk to his guitar tech rather than him, right? Because it was just so it was inside baseball.
I like to have 4 different delays.
So I could play 1 string and it sounds like I'm playing 6, and you're like, well, Jack White just played 6 and it sounded
when he had 1 and he only had 1.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, all that
dope
stuff.
is fucking Jack White.
I was just gonna say Jack White, and it's an interesting comparison, because I would definitely put him and Beck in like the same realm of artistry. You know, they're like a different echelon. But that being said, and I fucking love Jack White, but that being said, like hanging out with him would be a lot. You know, like he's such an because he's such an artist. He's such an eccentric person. Like
Did you think Jack White saw Beck and was like, no, I'm gonna do it this way?
I heard once that he like collects like old timey photo booths and like takes them apart and rebuilds them. And just has a bunch of them in his house.
You got that fuck you money, man.
Exactly.
Shit.
When you got enough money that you go like when you go to his house, it's the fucking Renaissance, man.
Yeah, and that's just shit that like I don't know, that stimulates your mind. You know, you need to go to that level now. It's like a fucking drug addict, but just with like art. Like you have to keep leveling up.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, I mean, I guess it's better to do that than with like increasing doses of heroin and stuff. So like,
I mean, I'm glad that Jack White isn't strung out on heroin. Though I would be interested
to
see
in the past few records could have used a little shot. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Come on, this one, Jackie. Now I do want to ask you guys this, because I don't know if you did some research on Beck, but I did not find this out. I do want to make sure that we got into this, because I'm interested to know, because it's a bit of a Mel Gibson situation here.
Okay,
not quite. I won't go that far.
Okay,
but I won't go that far.
Yeah.
But like I did not know he was balls deep into Scientology.
See, this is fascinating, dude. I don't know anything about Beck other than this album, right?
I found that out like 2 years ago, and it was like,
yeah.
And it was at the time where we were really shitting on Scientology.
Totally.
Like, not that we're not now, but it's like, you know, guys like Tom Cruise are still coming with fucking Maverick, and it's like a huge success, and everyone's kind of looked past like, whatever. He's crazy and jumps out of Oprah's couch now. It's fine.
Totally.
They're weirdos. We've all accepted it. But it's like, it was at the time we're like, whoa, look at this culty ass shit.
The thing that's fascinating about Beck that I see, that I was kind of finding out this morning was that he's trying to distance himself from it, or has in a 2019 interview with the Rolling Stones, saying that he's not a part of Scientology and never really had any affiliation with it. But then if you go back 20 years, he's got 2 decades of talking about interviews where he's basically saying that Scientology gets a bad rap, and it's mainly just there for like humanitarian efforts and stuff like that, which seems kind of crazy, because they have like drug rehabilitation programs and all these kind of things. But I would be fucking shocked if the Scientology drug rehabilitation program didn't have a fucking one of the steps was, give yourself up to a fucking higher power that exists in space.
Yeah, that whole thing is all kind of part of the scam, like they just want that's part of the money grab of it. But so I knew that Beck was in with Scientology when shit kind of started hitting the fan, when Leah Remini came out with her series. I want to say it was like 2017, 2018. I got really into it, not into Scientology, into like learning about it. And some of the shit is crazy. And so the reason why like celebrities that are in Scientology, like we know all of them, they talk about it a lot, is because that's what they have to do. They recruit Scientology recruits celebrities, and then they're required or asked to whenever they're working to recruit other people that they work with, and so they talk about it nonstop because that's kind of their job within Scientology. And so I don't know a lot about Beck's specific position within it, but yeah, people like Tom Cruise and John Travolta, they are like elevated to such, like Tom Cruise is treated like fucking royalty in Scientology, and like the different levels that they have, it's like very complex. But when you level up to the place they are, you basically can get away with murder, like literally, and Scientology will cover it up. And so, and it's not surprising that Beck is now trying to distance himself from it. And I'm sure he's still affiliated with them, and they will probably, I don't know, maybe cover it up for him. I'm not sure like the specifics of it, but yeah, and like what you said about Tom Cruise is like, everyone knows that Tom Cruise is in Scientology, and most people are aware now, at least to some degree, that Scientology is shitty. On whatever level. I mean, there's like this standard stuff with most religions, like covering up of sexual abuse. There's the scam part of it.
It's so bad. It's like, there's the standard.
Yeah, right? I know. Yeah,
the boilerplate sort of situation.
Yeah, but I mean, in a sense that you can't really use it as an argument against Scientology because, but there's a whole bunch of other shit too. Exactly. And everyone knows that Tom Cruise is like the fucking king of Scientology. But at the same time, Maverick now is like the biggest movie we've had in theaters in years. Like Maverick is, everyone's talking about it. So it's like, like Tom Cruise might be kind of shitty, Beck might be kind of shitty, but like, do we really care when they're like putting out stuff at
what point
this
do
level?
you end up caring? Because that's what I said. It is like a Mel Gibson sort of situation where it's like, oh, okay, you can't be calling officers guys and stuff like that, bro. Like, Jesus Christ, like, what are you doing here?
Totally.
I think Braveheart's really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think with Beck's thing is that like it seems to be a little bit more than he's laying on. Like, this is from an interview from Rolling Stone in 2019. In interviews dating back 2 decades, Beck admitted that he was a Scientologist, although never openly endorsed the organization like Scientologist celebrities Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Leah Remini. But a Scientology watchdog website, The Underground Bunker, well, that's fascinating, notes that Beck was at Beck last appeared at a Scientology celebrity gala in 2005. Quote from Beck is that my father, composer David Campbell, was a Scientologist for a long time, but I pretty much just focused on my music and my work for most of my life. I tended to do my own thing. And that's his quote from the Rolling Stone. And now Leah Remini, from the National Post in 2020, that's a pussy move. You can quote me on that. So that's what Leah says about Beck. So
she's a fucking badass.
Yeah, these
bitch.
are words.
Like as soon as she came out and like decided I'm gonna fucking say everything, she is fucking set. She has a great. She went on Joe Rogan. It's like one of the 3-hour episodes. It's great. Her fucking series, like Scientology and the Aftermath or whatever it's called. It's so fucking good. It's because there's a lot of Scientology documentaries like Going Clear and stuff that are great, but hers is a doc series. It's 2 seasons and it's goes deep into specific stories. And she also talks a lot about how celebrities are so important in Scientology because that's how they get a lot of people to come in. That and their fucking personality tests that they do. They bring people. We see it on fucking Hastings. There's the Church of Scientology there, and they have like get your free
forever too, man.
And they have get your free personality test now type thing where you hold the cans
right beside
and
all the weed spots too. It's hilarious.
It's crazy. I was walking home from a bar one night and I really had to piss, and I was just like, there's a little alcove kind of there.
Yeah, it's a great place to piss.
And so I was pissing, but like they're in there late. Like really fucking
and
late.
And they have everything. They have cameras everywhere. I guarantee you they have
like
footage
a 6-pint piss in or something that it was flowing and it was flowing for a long time, long enough for the guy to be like, notice me, and then walk all the way down the long lobby to like open the door. And by that time he got there, I could like shake off and get away. And he's just like, what the hell, man? And I'm like, I didn't. And then I look up and it was Scientology and I was like, well, not because, but
also not mad at it.
Like their kind of buildings have like cameras everywhere too, and they like log all the footage and shit.
Like, I'm on a watchdog web, and after this episode too, we're fucked. But these are words from actress, from outspoken Scientologist, former outspoken Scientologist, Leah Remini, referring to the popular musician Beck's recent denial that he's had anything to do with Scientology. Her quote was, he's acting like he was never a Scientologist, which is his way of not publicly speaking out and therefore not getting labeled like us and attacked like us. So this is kind of a way of him maybe like even avoiding the backlash that you could have from
When you're a former Scientologist and you leave and you speak out, I forget what the word is, but basically everyone in Scientology,
you're a rat.
They are forbidden from interacting with you. So whether it's your family, your best friends, or whatever, you're completely shut out from the community. You're exiled. I forget what the name is. They have like a name for it. But yeah, so if you do speak out, so that could be Beck's way of, trying to distance himself without saying anything shitty about it. Because maybe like you said, his dad is part of it. So he probably doesn't want to be cut off from his dad or something. Well, it goes deeper than that,
right? It's a bit of a turnaround from 14 years ago when in an interview with the Irish Sunday Tribune, he came right out and said, yeah, I'm a Scientologist. People can sort of say whatever they want. I don't have anything to hide. I'm completely proud of my life. I think it's about philosophy and sort of all these kinds of ideals that are common to lots of religions. There's nothing fantastical. Which is a real deep grassroots concerted effort for humanitarian causes, which is fucking crazy. But Beck has a long-standing history with Scientology. As mentioned, his father, Canadian composer David Campbell, is a Scientologist. He grew up in the church and was married to Scientologist Marisa Ribisi, sister of actor Giovanni Ribisi, also a Scientologist for 15 years. So if you're in a celebrity, like you're kind of growing up around that, where Scientology really kind of operates in that celebrity circle and stuff, and you're married to, a sister of a very famous actor and stuff, for him to just say that in passing he's never heard of it, you know what I mean? I think that he's
it is definitely
a cover up. But do you think it's for his own sake of trying to get away, or maybe him trying to distance himself so that people don't think he's crazy and he can just kind of be a Scientologist without being outspoken about it?
I think it's probably both. He probably doesn't want to be associated with it publicly anymore, but he doesn't want to speak out and get completely blocked off by whatever friends and family he does have there, is what it kind of sounds like to me. But because
that'd be like drawing a line not only like with your friends and family and stuff, but in a situation like this, like you're like career wise, like would that be like
I think it's okay for your career, because it's not like Scientology has a hand in the music industry or the film and TV industry. They just They have a lot of people that work there, but they can't exactly affect your career in that way. But yeah, and the whole argument that Scientology is just like any other religion, it's the scam part of it, where it's like there's all these levels that you have to pass, it's like a constantly leveling up situation, but with each new level you have to pay more money, to keep going up. Shit. So you get, exactly. And so you get put into a crazy amount of debt. And so that's part of the reason why some people don't leave. It's because you're in so much fucking debt. Like, you've put so much money into this shit,
I've heard that there's like a confessional kind of thing, basically, where you're like admitting all the terrible things that you've ever done or whatever. And all of that stuff is basically like recorded and becomes kind of like a blackmail situation, right? So like the more money that you can give it, and it's like weird, like how much money do you have like that? And when you're giving it away, like it has to be a substantial amount that you notice it, right? Like for Tom Cruise to donate to a church is probably like not that much, right? I imagine the amount of money that they're taking from people like these.
It goes into specifics in that
if it's an amount of money that Tom Cruise would notice, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, I don't think Tom Cruise wants to leave, because he is king. Like literally, he's treated like royalty. He's gonna be. People fucking worship him. So I don't think he has any plans. Like once you get to his level, or like fucking John Travolta, like you're deep into it, And it takes like you have to have a lot of balls and a lot of like I don't give a shit anymore to not only leave, but to then like speak out. And I have so much respect for Leah Remini, and it's so funny because there's all at the same time she was coming out, all of a sudden there was all this like news that she's like crazy, she was branded as this like crazy person, which is so it's exactly what she's saying that they do, and she has this book that's like a biography, but obviously she talks a lot about Scientology in it, published with a normal publisher. It's so difficult to find it, and so all this shit that's so subtle.
Did they make it a bestseller by buying all of them and burning them? Or did they? Because like you'd think that there'd just be like a second pressing from the publisher would be like, oh, these things are selling like hotcakes. Like let's get them back on the shelves.
Yeah, but they have. I can't. This is my like speculation because I've like become like very because I went so deep into it and became very skeptical about everything. But they have. they're very powerful in certain ways, you know, especially because they are designated as a church, as a religion. So yeah, they have control over certain things, and they can kind of, you know, bury shit and whatnot. But yeah, so we don't know how involved Beck is in Scientology.
Yeah, I just love that. Yeah, because I mean, I like, as a guy that like, Beck to me seems to be pretty like white bread and not very interesting, other than the fact, like, other than if we're going to talk about his musical choices and like his ability to play different kind of stuff, right? Outside of music, I don't know if there's anything like, you know, extremely interesting about this person. I was fascinated to, you know what I mean, to read all of this stuff, right? Like, does Beck suck?
Does Beck suck, and do we care?
Do we care? Yeah, right? Because like, at the end of the day, like, I mean, there's a lot of separating art from artists and stuff like that. I think any healthy distrust for like any like organized institution, whether that be government or religion or anything like that, I think is important for any person to have. But that being said, you know, I mean, I can still you know, enjoy you know, music or art or whatever, right? You know what I mean, from people that do kind of like subscribe to these, you know, ridiculous beliefs.
Yeah, it's a very familiar debate at this point, like this separating art from the artist, and I think it just all comes down to your like personal comfort level. You know, you can't control.
So I won't listen to Beck's Odelay, but I will listen to Bill Cosby's himself.
So that's everyone has their own. He
crushes for an hour and a half in the round.
Everyone has like their own line, you know, and everyone, for whatever reason, you might be okay with certain things, but like other things are like, oh, I can't listen to R. Kelly anymore. It feels weird, you know, but I can watch Bill Cosby or whatever. Like I still fucking rock out to Michael Jackson, but I can't Bill Cosby. I can't. You know, it's just, it's not enjoyable.
Did you guys ever watch Bill Cosby's comedy before any of this shit? Like, before he was thing? Like, I mean, he was already so old for me, even when I was a kid.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And
nothing.
so as a student of the game, for sure.
Yeah.
But it was never like, it was so, that one's a weird one, because it's like, you knew that he was respected from these comics who I did really like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But he was never like on like the Rushmore.
It's crazy. I can't remember if I think it's Eddie Murphy went on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee and has some stories about Bill Murray. He's like, that guy was fucking treated me like a piece of shit. Like,
Cosby?
Bill Murray, Bill Cosby.
Cosby. Oh, sorry, Bill Murray. Yeah. Cosby treated.
Well, he has
that whole bit about Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Like, do people laugh when you say what you're saying? Yeah. Then tell Bill Cosby to have a Coke and shut the fuck up.
Coke and a smile.
Coke and a smile. Tell him I said it.
Yeah.
Next time the motherfucker calls, tell him to suck my dick. So good, dude.
Yeah.
But like, that being said,
I
I mean,
mean,
it was interesting. Like, with I think what you have with a situation with like Bill Cosby or whatever is that he put you know, like, he did so much for black entertainers and stuff like that, and putting all them on, it was like, that's a tough pill to swallow, I think, for like a lot of people to.
Well, yeah, and I don't blame people
that
right? still can enjoy his comedy or whatever, have an attachment to the Cosby Show. Like I said, it's all it's all subjective. I think. You know?
There's an episode where who's the daughter? The older daughter goes to the mall, and they do they go to get the you know, they had like the 1 hour like make your own music video things or whatever, and they do Locomotion. It's dope. That's a good episode.
But yeah, this was a fun ep.
This was cool. I honestly like I think that I picked the album because I didn't know anything about it beforehand, and it's still just one of those things that stuck with me for a really long time. It's definitely undeniably a great record, and there's a lot of like history behind it, I guess, that I didn't know, and you know,
it's totally one of those. It is such a great album. It instantly takes you back to that, like you know, that fucking time. There's so many great tracks on this, and it's so well produced.
So many singles, man. Where It's At, Devil's Haircut, New Pollution, Sissy Knack, Jackass, like all these, like I mean, like it's front to back.
Pretty fuego.
Pretty. Muy fuego.
Muy fuego.
Mucho.
Mucho fuego.
Mucho fuego. We're going to bring it back. We'll bring it back.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, just called to say I love you guys, and we'll see you later.
Peace.